thank you for joining us for the INCOMPAS Member Spotlight session today. My name is Julia Stroud, and I'm INCOMPAS's Chief of Staff. While most of you may know INCOMPAS, for those of you that may not, INCOMPAS is a national trade association representing competitive communications and network providers operating in the U.S. The association represents its members' interest in our advocacy for pro-competitive policies in Washington, D.C., as well as at the state and local level. We provide business and networking opportunities for our members through thought leadership, such as the session today, and through events we host throughout the year. I invite you to join our membership and to also join us at our next event, the INCOMPAS show in October, taking place at the Cosmopolitan, October 25th through the 27th in Las Vegas. For more information on both, please see our website or contact me directly at jstroud@encompass.org. For today's webinar program, please join me to welcome GeoResults, a Comlinkdata Company, and Dave Ballou and Peter Clare, who both serve as Vice Presidents of Sales and Business Development for GeoResults. These are two people you will see at the Fall INCOMPAS show, I am sure. Dave and Peter are here to share the latest version of their online sales prospecting tool, MarketView 5.0. This tool will help your company make smart investments as you look to expand fiber networks across the country by providing the information you need to fill your sales and marketing pipeline with the most qualified leads, both on net and near net. Again, thank you for joining us today for this session, and I'm going to now turn it over to Dave and Peter.
Thank you, Julia. I think what we're going to do now is pop up our map on the screen so we can start to display. So once we get that here, I think we'll be in good shape. All right, thanks, Dave. Okay, my name is Peter Clare. Thank you for joining us. Today, as Julia mentioned, we're going to present our GeoResults MarketView mapping application. For those of you that may not be familiar with GeoResults, we are a business and residential telecom database company. We focus on the telecom industry. We provide data, both biz and res, as I mentioned. You're probably familiar with demographic and firmographic information coming from those types of databases. We infuse that with telecom intelligence. For example, on our business file, we provide spatial information, such as wire center business sits in, distance to wire center, things of that nature. Bandwidth estimates on companies, telecom spend estimates on companies, as well as the voice provider and in some cases the broadband provider. We also provide infrastructure data for competitive view, as well as we are leaders in the telecom boundary files. Today I'm one part of the presentation. I'm going to turn it over to Dave Ballou.
Thanks, Peter, and good afternoon, everybody. As Julie had said, we're going to review our MarketView tool and the enhancements that we've made to it. MarketView is a geospatial data visualization tool that allows its users the ability to display their own data in a tabular format, or lines, dots, etc., along with any data they may license from us in a single web-based platform. It can be accessed from your desktop, from a tablet, and if you really have great eyes, from your cell phone. Great for salespeople out on the road or anyone who has that tablet and is able to access from wherever they are. The tool supports network planning and design, customer pre-qualification, the marketing team, and is customizable to your specific requirements, including our new cost calculator that is customizable to your cost calculations. There's going to be some major benefits for your sales team. They're able to use this to make quick go, no-go decisions when they have a possible client. Allows them to pull data directly from the tool so they can plan their day and possibly go and target clients in the area of near a prospect they're going to be working with that day. Marketing and network planners can use it to determine where to go next, and also for targeted marketing plans. And network engineers will like this because the sales team won't bring them opportunities that certainly aren't viable. With that no-go decision, it's going to save the network engineers time. It is a customizable tool. It's meant to grow with you, and you can change. It can change as your requirements change. We're going to review 4 major components today. Our layer control, which really is the access point of your data, any data you license from us. The user content, where you're able to load data for territories that you may be targeting, but you're currently not in. The data export section, where you can actually download data directly from the map. And lastly, our cost calculator, which is the newest feature and really makes this tool more powerful. So with that, I'm going to hand it back to Peter, and we're going to do a deeper dive on each of those 4 main components.
Thanks, Dave. Okay, we're going to start with the layer control area. As David mentioned briefly, this is the area where you would install your type of assets, being possibly fiber routes, splice points. If you had your own customer file that you wanted to pinpoint the locations on a map, you could do that as well. In addition, just so what you're seeing on the map right now is a fictitious fiber route that we created for demo purposes in the Atlanta, Georgia area. Obviously, the red line is the fiber, the green circles are splice points. In addition to your assets, you may also want to install assets that you can license from us. Things like our residential data and or our business data. Dave's going to pop on some businesses right now on the map to give you an idea what that looks like. If you do license our business data, it can be sliced and diced pretty much any way you'd like. In this case, what we've done here is we've selected businesses with tel spend from $500 to $99 a month. And as you see, when you click on any particular dot on the map, it'll show you what's underneath that dot. In this case, it tells you the company. And our entire business telecom layout is actually viewed within that window. Ton of information. We'll show you a little bit more effective way of pulling the information right off the map so you can have it in an Excel format. In addition to businesses, you may want to license our infrastructure data. This is competitive information that is provided by the providers across the country. Right now, Dave has put up the cell sites. Cell sites work very similar to what the business data is. You click on any particular site, you can see the providers that are on that particular tower. In this case, we had AT&T, Sprint, and T-Mobile, which obviously will be combined in the very near future. In addition to that, we'd like to show you our lit building segment of the infrastructure data. These are locations where we know fiber has been placed in the building, and we can identify the provider that placed that in the building. This is a good one. On this particular building, you see there's AT&T wireless in here. There's also T-Mobile and Comcast. We got one more, Dave. There we go, AT&T again. It's based on the equipment that we actually see from the providers in a given building. But from a competitive standpoint, you can obviously see where your competitors are. From a pickup connection point, you can also utilize that information. You may have a good agreement with a company that gives you good rates, and rather than you pulling fiber into the building, it may be best to just work with them since they've lit the building already. Another piece of information that may be of interest to you that we could license to you is our telecom boundary files. We're the leaders in the telecom boundary space. This includes things such as wire centers, rate centers, LADAs, cable MSOs, cable overbuilders, and things of that nature. What Dave is showing you right on the screen right now is our wire center boundaries. as well as our central office locations, which are those yellow balloons you see within the purple shapes. When you click on any given area, it'll tell you the wire center it's in, and then you click on the central office dot, it'll give you the details about the CO. In addition, what may be of interest to you is our cable MSO boundaries. These work in the same way. This is basically the territories that cable cos are working in today. You click on any dot, it'll give you the information of who's underneath there. In other words, what cable co is in that area. We also provide a cable overbuilders file, which, as you know, many of the overbuilders are on top of existing cable license agreements. So you can see where the overbuilders are across the country as well. In this case, that's Wide Open West. Just to give you a little point on that as well, GeoResults has its own internal GIS team. We build and groom our files on a daily basis. We are also very responsive to any changes that may come from ILECs and or cable cos. And certain times, wire center boundaries will move slightly or be combined, and we're on top of that on a regular basis. All right, so that's a quickie overview of what goes on in the layer control area. We're now going to show you how to extract data directly from the map. All right, so what Dave has done here is he's turned on, once again, the businesses with Telspend $500 to $999 a month. We go down to the data export area. And first methodology we're going to show you is by actually drawing a freehand polygonal shape on the map. Dave goes to the choose selection mode, clicks on shape, and then goes to anywhere on the map that he wants to pull data. And basically, as you can see, he can draw whatever shape he wants. One click starts it, the next click will make you turn, and then you double click to finish the polygonal shape. You then, the layers in the data export are a mirror image of the layers you saw in the layer control section. He clicks on those particular businesses that we're looking to extract from the map. He then hits export, and what the tool is doing is it's looking at that area, finding out how many businesses are in there, downloads it into a CSV file. You can click on that CSV and then open it up into Excel. I could play the Jeopardy music now, but I don't have it. So let's see where the file went. I'm guessing this is Zoom, Dave, that's causing this.
No, I know what it is. I'm gonna reshare my screen for a second because I think I probably just did the MarketView. My fault. Let's try this.
Okay, there you go. All right, so normally there's not that kind of delay, so I apologize for that. Nevertheless, what you have here now is a subset of the data that we saw on the map in the area that Dave selected to pull it off of the map. This is a time we can maybe give you a brief overview of what goes on in our business telecom layout. You're probably familiar with typical firmographics, where you have company name, contact information, phone number, sales volume, employee size, things of that nature, NAICS codes, SIC codes. We also provide our own spatial information, so we give you an accuracy code on the accuracy of the lat and long, as well as the wire center that this particular business sits in, the distance to the CO, serving LEC and cable MSOs I had mentioned before. This is part of our business layout where we have the primary as well as up to 2 additional overbuilders. Then we get into our telecom information. In the spatial section, we tell you about the wire center again, We also have estimates on the bandwidth requirements for any given company. We also estimate tel spend for any given company. And we also provide a unique element in our building ID. Our building ID is done at a spatial level. So for example, if you had a large building, let's say in Atlanta, New York City, LA, wherever it may be, it can take up an entire city block, which may give it 4 separate addresses. Our competitors try to combine that by matching those addresses, and generally that doesn't work very well. We do it at a spatial level using a Latin long coordinates and generally pinpoint the top of the building. This is a crossover as well with our residential data. So if you had a multi-use building where the first few floors were commercial and then the balance up on top was residential, that building and those households would all carry the same building ID. In addition to that, we do building roll-ups with this information. So you can now see the number of businesses in a given building, the number of employees in a given building, the total bandwidth, the total spend, and things of that nature. So within one record, you have a good view of what goes on in a building using our building ID information. We also provide the voice carrier of the business. This is based on the phone number. We'll tell you who the carrier is delivering dial tone to that particular business. We will also give you the top 3 voice carriers in a building. In addition to that, we provide on about 70% of our records the broadband carrier of any given business. In this case, I say 70% because in some high-rise buildings, it becomes difficult to locate exactly each business and their carrier. But if we don't have it, in addition to that, we do give you the top 3 broadband carriers in any given building. So that's kind of a quick overview of our business layout. I'd like to show you now another method of pulling data from the map, as well as a method that could be used for fiber route expansion. And this is under our user content section. Now, the scenario might be where you are looking to expand beyond your existing fiber route to a territory you currently don't serve, but you want to find out what's in there before you go and make the leap. Let's say you have a GIS department that may have developed a potential fiber route, and you want to be able to take a look at that on a map and see what's around it. In this case, many of our clients that utilize this tool also license from us analytical data outside of their territory for this purpose. Analytical data is basically the same layout as what you just saw on the screen. However, analytical data does not include the business name, contact information, or phone number, but all the telecom intelligence and firmographic is included, so you can easily evaluate a given area. So back to the scenario, if we had a proposed fiber route, the tool allows you to go out and browse within your PC. Dave is doing that right now. He selects the fiber route. It pulls it into the tool. It allows you to give a name to that fiber route. So Dave has renamed that Aiken Augusta. And then he goes over and gives it a color. You select the color from this color schema, and you can then change the opacity on that bar below. The tool also allows you to put buffers around this particular fiber route. And Dave is selecting a 500-foot buffer, giving it a color again, changing the opacity, and then also selecting a 1,000-foot buffer. These do not have to be even numbers. You could put 13 feet, you could put 27 feet, whatever you wanted to put in the buffer zone. You then hit upload, and what happens now is the file is pulled off of your PC, dropped onto the map with those 2 buffer zones. It appears below in your user content section. And then Dave has turned on the fiber route and he's turned on the 500-foot buffer. When you click on the name of that fiber route, the map instantly goes to where that fiber route is. Now, as you can see, we have business data selected here as well. As I talked about before, this would probably be wise to have analytical data in an area that you don't currently work in. It's a much less expensive piece of information. There's the yellow 500-foot buffer, as you can see as well. Now, going back to the idea of extracting data from the map, in this case, Dave goes to choose selection mode and switches it over to layer. He clicks on layer, then goes to the drop-down menu where the layers are, and he finds that Aiken Augusta Buffer 500 name. He selects on that. He goes down to the layers and selects the data he wants to pull off of the map, which is the business data, and then hits export. Now, what the tool is doing now is it's looking at the 500-foot buffer and saying, okay, what's inside of this 500-foot buffer? As you can see, it downloaded that file very quickly in CSV format. Dave can click on that file and it will open up into Excel. So as you can see, within a few minutes, you were able to load a potential fiber route to the map, select data with any kind of buffer zone that you selected, and you now have an Excel file that you can evaluate to make decisions on whether or not you should expand your fiber route along this route. You may want to tweak it a little by looking at the map, seeing where businesses are, and make sure you have a clear understanding that your route is going to be the most effective where you can pick up the most information. And as I said before, because of all the elements we have on our file, you can slice and dice this in any way you want. So you could accumulate this at bandwidth, tel spend, employee size if you wanted, whatever the case may be.
And additionally, just to make a point on for Peter here, the analytical file that he recommends obviously it's less expensive. If you decide to actually build this route and you want to convert those records to marketing record, meaning you can market to them, all you do is pay the price differential of those records. You don't have to pay the full marketing record. You just pay the difference.
Thanks, Dave. Okay, so those are two methodologies of extracting data directly from the map. We're now going to go and talk a little bit about the fiber route cost calculator and generating quotations using this tool. So you can generate a quote easily by going back up to the layer control section. Up here is locations, and the location area gives you an opportunity to put in an address, a landmark, and or an intersection, or Latin long if you actually had one for a location. So just to demo this, we're going to pull up a landmark, Centennial Park. We put in, does a search, and as you can see, the map takes a look and says, well, okay, there's a lot of Centennial Parks. Which one do you want? You can see it looked at the world because there's one from Australia there. So we wanted the one in the Atlanta, Georgia area. Clicks on that, the map finds Centennial Park, locates it on the map. Okay, so that's one methodology using landmark. More likely than most, you're going to use the street level. So what Dave is doing here is entering a street in Atlanta, Georgia again, for demo purposes, 123 Walton Street. He hits the search button. It finds that location. Within that black box on the top, it gives you a standardized version of that particular address. And then it tells you a little bit of information about that address, the OCN, serving life, things of that nature. Now, down below, you can see there's a bar that says route to nearest fiber splice point. You have the opportunity of drawing the route either walking or driving. We're going to select driving. We're going to click that button, And what it's going to do is generate a new fiber route from that point of 123 Walton Street to the nearest splice point on your fiber route. As you can see, it's drawn that. And now what we want to do is we want to create an estimate for this particular project. So there's a button on that black area that says create estimate. And here you go. It tells you the distance of that particular route. It uses your cost figures. In this case, it's $26 a foot. It adds an equipment cost to it of $11.75, and it gives you a total charge of $13,551. Now, as we mentioned a little bit earlier, these are your costs, and this can be built any way you'd like it to be built. In other words, if you use a different type of formula, in addition to maybe linear feet, you have some other pieces of information that need to go in to a fiber out cost, that can easily be done. Also, the tool can be set up using aerial or underground fiber. We just need to understand where that is on the map, so we can map that accordingly. And if the route happened to run in and out of aerial and underground, it'll adjust for that. Now on the screen, what you see is minimum MRRs for this particular route. It runs from 12 months to 60 months. At 12 months, you can see right here, it's $13.95. I know that's small, I apologize. However, it has no internet access assigned to it yet. So Dave's gonna go and add to that and put in 500 megabits per second. Then what happens then is it changes the minimum MRR. The minimum now at 12 months has gone up to $15.60. Okay, so you see the cost there. You've made some adjustments using different internet access amounts, and you're now going to add the customer information. So you click on the customer information button. You see the sales rep here is Fred Smith. This is a new estimate. You could add more description in that box above if you wanted to. Dave is giving it a customer name, a customer contact name, and then in this case, he's also assigning it a Salesforce number. If that happens to be your CRM system, you could do that, or obviously whatever CRM system you can do, you're using, this quote could be pulled into that as well. In the comments section, he's added 500 megabits per second, just as a reminder to understand what this quote was about. And then you hit Save Changes. Okay, so now you have a completed quote. You have the customer information in there. You can download this in a PDF format, which generated, there's a fake company of Mega Broadband, but there's all the details about the quote we just generated. You know, the ID number, the details about the distance, the cost, and then the breakdown of the MRR based on the number of months you may put this deal together. So instantly you've got a quote you could send to management, you could put in your CRM system, and you can see within minutes we generated that quote, get approval, you go back to the customer within hours, not days. Okay, in addition to that, it logs this quote. The system will hold the quote in a log so you can track this quote for future. It shows you the details of the particular quote, and this is an individual one that we just ran. So there also is a history list of all of what Fred may have been doing, Fred Smith being the salesperson on this. As you can see, these are other quotes that Fred has put together, and it gives you the details about these. Now you could go back to any of these quotes, view it on a map, look at the quote itself. You know, so you don't lose the history of what happened, and you can store things for future use, and or maybe you expanded your fiber and you go back and say, okay, now we're closer to this client, let's go back and try again. All right, so that's one methodology, and that's a go, as we call it. You know, there's go, no-go decisions. So as I said, within minutes, the salesperson ran it through the process. It was within your parameters, and it generated a quote for you within minutes. Now we're going to try another location and show you what happens with this. This is 123 Peachtree Circle Northeast. Anybody that's been to Atlanta knows that most of the streets for some reason have Peachtree in their name. The tool is smart enough to figure that part out. All right, so it's gone and mapped that location once again. Same window pops up, gives you details about the address. We're doing a driving route again. Dave is going to route to the nearest fiber splice point. All right, so within seconds, it routes it to that splice point, but something different happened on this one. And in the bottom there, it says max distance exceeded, and that's based on your parameters. So we say, okay, what's the problem here? Let's go and view the route details. So here are the route details of what was just run against 123 Peachtree Circle Northeast. It gives you the same information, distance, lat and long, the cost per foot and so forth. In the red letters below, you can see that what's happened here is to build this fiber route would cost $68,796. Unfortunately, what happens here is it's exceeding your CapEx of $33,825. So the tool has a built-in mechanism that keeps, not that we're trying to control your salespeople, but it prohibits them from moving forward, does not generate an estimate or a quote for this particular project because it exceeds CapEx. And these are numbers that we would put in our system based on your requirements. So you can have different CapEx numbers across the country or across your working territory. It could be by market. You could even break up a large market into various prices depending on what goes on in that particular market. You know, for example, New York City may be a very high cost to build. Ames, Iowa may not be so expensive to build. But once again, this still stores, the tool stores this information in the log. So as you can see under estimates, it's 0, meaning we didn't quote this thing because it exceeded CapEx, but we will keep it if you want to keep it in this log. If for some reason you say, okay, let's dump it, it's not worth it, we can delete that record from the tool. Now that was an example, obviously, of a no-go situation. But here we go again. Within a few minutes, you're able to plot an address, run a fiber route on the street level to the nearest splice point on your fiber, and then get a decision based on your cost numbers and make decisions quickly. I'm not knocking network engineering, but if you had to send this back to them, I'm not sure that you'd get an answer within an hour, 2 hours, or even a couple days. So you can get those answers quickly here. You can also avoid the idea of sending, let's call it no-go situations to network engineering, because we know they exceed CapEx already. So why waste their time having to run through this process on something that's not going to work anyway? All right, so those were 2 good scenarios to show you how you can map an address and then generate a quote. A third methodology we want to show you is actually drawing a hand-drawn fiber route on the map itself. So Dave goes to the drawing icon and then goes to the map anywhere on it and starts to draw a fiber route. So he goes to the nearest splice point, double clicks, stops that. Apparently this is good because you can create an estimate. And here you go with the same type of numbers. There was no stop there. It didn't exceed the CapEx, gives you the distance, the per foot again, adds the equipment. Dave is adding 150 megabits per second on the bandwidth internet access. And there's your adjusted quote for 12 to 60 months. It's logged again right here, and it's logged in the overall log. So you can see, once again, what's going on. The overall is also a good tracking mechanism for your salespeople. You can see what they're doing weekly, monthly, whatever the case may be.
Excellent. Thank you, Peter. I'm going to clear that out. and give another little overview. So obviously we've shown you the four main components of the tool, the layers, and again, that could be data you license from us or your customer file. The ability to load user content to explore new territories, the ability to download data, and then obviously, as we just covered, the ability to create your own customized pricing pieces into the tool. You know, the benefits, again, your sales team can make quick go, no good decisions. They can pull data, plan their day, be able to target new prospects, et cetera. Marketing and network planners, where can we go next? Who are we targeting? Mailing programs, et cetera. And again, saving network engineers time and effort by eliminating those no-go decisions. No use bringing someone a target that is way out of the CapEx realms. And again, it's customizable. It's meant to grow with you. If things change, the tool can change. One thing we didn't discuss today, but we'd be happy to do anything on a one-on-one if someone wants to dive deeper into this tool and explore it, is the administrative function review. That gives you the ability to set up your users, control your layers, configuring those dots, lines, the colors. I happen to have blue dots up here for businesses. If you wanted those to be yellow or red, that can happen. Controlling your price management, your fiber build calculator, your equipment costs, the direct acquisition cost factors, for example, setting that bandwidth cost, filtering by price zones. As Peter said, New York City versus Des Moines, Iowa may have two very different price structures. Ability to build in a CapEx so you can have that go no go decision. So again, you know, very robust tool, very easy to use. If Peter and I as sales guys can use this tool, I think anybody can use this tool. We kind of like to open it up to questions at this point. If I see one on the screen, I can click on it and see what that is.
Before we get there, Dave, just one other point I'd like to make. This, as Dave mentioned, this is a web-driven application. Can be accessed anywhere in the world where you have access to the internet, but it's built individually for your company. In other words, this is not shared information with anybody else except you and your users. So you can be comfortable in the fact that if you're sharing assets with us in a given tool like this, it is not going beyond your organization.
Thank you, Peter. That's a great point. The first question that we have that was typed in, and I don't know if Julie, if people are able to actually ask us a question or if they have to type it, is this going to violate federal policy on data law? This is your customer information. You have every right to utilize your customer information. Records that are able to be marketed to, so marketing files that you license from us on the business side, there won't be any violations. On the residential side, California definitely has some where we've actually taken records out already to be within those law parameters. But we're constantly monitoring the changes in the marketplace and the changes in the federal policy. But at this point, no, we don't think that you'll be violating any federal laws. Any other questions that you may have? Oh, here comes another typed one. Can you talk about the accuracy of your business database? Other database we've used give a number of businesses within a polygon and the list is dated or inaccurate. Sure. We actually utilize 3 of the major US databases in the United States as the backbone for that firmographic information. D&B, Infogroup, which is now Data Axle, and Equifax. None of them are mirror images of each other. Some will have records that the others don't. We do, and this is probably, I don't know if we have enough time to get into it, we actually will eliminate secondary records of the same business. So we realize that all 3 of those database providers are notorious for giving you the same database or the same business in the database 5 different times. we actually have gone through the process of cleaning that up and deliver one record for that address. This really helps you not overstate your market. The one complaint we always hear, and we typically solve for our clients, is the fact that for sales guys, if they're told there's 50 viable businesses in any given building and they're supposed to close an X percentage and that building's overstated, it puts them behind the 8 ball. So we think that we've done a good job of cleaning up. Is it ever going to be perfect? No. You know, the DMA comes out and says that at any given time in a database, you could have 10% of the records have probably fallen off. But we think it's as good as any, if not better than any in the industry. Anybody else?
Dave, I think we mentioned it, but maybe it's worth mentioning again. We hope that you have our contact information available to you. Basically, if anybody's interested in having a one-on-one with us in terms of presenting this to you and your company team, we are available for that. All you have to do is contact us and let us know. We'll set it up for you.
One thing to point out is this tool typically can be set up within 7 to 14 business days. So it's not as if you have to set up a large platform. We actually have a team already set up for it. It's a matter of you getting us your data, and we can pull the data you license from us and put it into the tool. With that, Julia, I guess we will hand it back to you.
I think Julia has wrapped up, Dave. And she's no longer able to participate.
Okay, well, yeah, she just promoted me again to be part of the panelists, so I'm able to talk now. So thank y'all for this really great presentation. I know our attendees, we had a great turnout today for the webinar. We will repost this on our website. So if you want to share it with other folks in your company, happy to have y'all do that. And just want to thank y'all for attending today and being a part of this. I know we all look forward to seeing y'all in October in Las Vegas. And I know the GeoResults team will be there and talk to you about this product and other things that they offer. And I also want to thank GeoResults. They've been a great member for many years. And we really love working with them and look forward to continuing that relationship and seeing them in person this fall in Las Vegas at the Cosmopolitan. So Dave and Peter, thanks so much. Great presentation, great product. And thanks again for doing this today.
Thanks so much. We appreciate everyone's time.
Thank you. Thanks, Julia.
All right, everybody take care and have a great
Take care now.
Bye-bye.